Modern technology. I am graduating.
When we're done, I'll show you how to get that saved and to me.
All right, everybody. Welcome to North Santiam Sewer Authority Board Meeting number 66. I sent out an update for the agenda. It's July 11th, 2022, and it is 6:01 p.m. Welcome, everybody. Roll call. And
Mr. Woodward.
Present.
Mr. Kirsch.
Aye.
Mr. Gander.
Present.
Mr. Nielsen.
Present.
Mr. Carmichael. Mr. Carmichael. Mr. Morones. Mr. Morones. Janet's here. And I don't think we have another person yet for,
We have a quorum.
or Idana, correct?
No, not yet. One in the works.
Woohoo!
But we do have a quorum. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I hear water running.
As declarations of conflict of interest. Yeah, who's
And
got?
we have a lot of background noise somewhere. So if you're not speaking, if you could mute, that would be awesome.
Hey, if Keith, you're still in Mexico. Sounds like someone's trying to tune in a radio station. Keith? There we go.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Declarations of conflict of interest. Hearing none. Announcements. Hearing none. Public comments and questions. Please limit public comment to 3 minutes each. Look at that sign. Just look at that sign. Action, review and approve summary notes for May 2nd, 2022 and June 6th, 2022. We have a motion.
Move approval. I'll second.
Denny moves to approve, and Janet, we're gonna take our time and make all these notes. You're on mute, so you can't argue with me.
Who was our second? Tony, yay.
Hey,
Or
Tim
was it?
Just waving in, I seconded.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tim second.
and Denny made the motion to accept.
Okay, I'm confused. Who made the motion?
No, Denny made the motion, Tim seconded.
Okay, you guys are confusing me. I don't need that.
Okay. Working on it.
Could I ask make a request?
Yes,
Is that those notes be posted with the agenda in our packet, please? So I can read through them?
you sent it to me. I never received it, and then
Yeah.
I just got it this afternoon. and
Okay,
it would have been there,
all
but
right.
I had
all
an
right.
hour's notice.
Yeah, I should have double checked with him when I sent him off to begin with, and I apologize. I did not do that.
That
No
is-
worries.
That's
No
some of-
worries.
that's some of the stuff we're gonna talk about on new meeting topics because we need deadlines. And
Okay,
So, I put,
any other talking points?
not yet, so. Summary notes have been approved. Moving on to Marion County NSSA IGA update.
Mr. Woodward, we need to vote on that.
Oh, sorry. My mind's going real fast. All right,
Okay, Mr. Woodward,
approve. Hey,
Mr. Kirsch,
Aye.
going down my list here, Mr. Gander,
Aye.
Mr. Nielsen,
Aye.
Mr. Morones,
Aye.
and I am aye. Motion passes. One absent.
Mr. Carmichael just joined us.
Oh, there he is.
Evening, Ron.
Hey, I'm sorry. Thank you, Brian, for reminding me. I was sitting here doing other stuff and didn't even realize it was this late already.
You were napping.
No, I wasn't.
That's your story and you're gonna stick to it.
That's it.
Okay, now I can move on. Janet? Permission? Marion County NSSA IGA update. It's Kelly's turn.
Hi, hello,
Hello.
everyone. So we have a little bit of updates on the sewer authorities IGA with Marion County. Ken, if you want to give me permission to share my screen, I can show everybody. Walk through the few changes.
Share screen, go for it.
Look at you. Thank you.
Hey, I'm learning.
All right, can everybody see the IGA?
Yes.
All right, maybe I can make it a little,
Let me get that closer to you.
there we go. All right, so there was only a few, I consider them not very substantive changes to the IGA from our review from our legal as well as our finance team. So I'm kind of scrolling down to where those changes are. The first is for the timeline for the grants. It was changed back to December 21st because that was what was originally submitted to our finance team. So just FYI, December 21st is when the due date is for grants for completing the first grant for you as a board. Then under section B, under the county's requirements from this agreement, we added a clarifying to say that consult with the sewer authority prior to the county making decisions that would impact the financial stability of the sewer authority, which was always the intent. It just adds a clarifying statement. And then if you scroll down under reporting and compensation, there was a small change to add that quarterly reports will be submitted based on the county's template and will include written reports detailing progress of the work products of the agreement and then identify next steps. So basically, I'll prepare a template of the quarterly reports for you guys to use. And then those quarterly reports need to not only include financial statements, but also a detail of the progress on your work products. And I believe that was all of the changes, and double check here, scrolling through. Okay, so that's all ready to go. It's been signed off by our internal team and it's coming before the board on Wednesday's meeting. So Wednesday at 9 a.m. will be the board presentation. Chair Woodward and Vice Kirsch are going to be there to help present. And we'll also talk to the board about, or show the board the video that we'll talk about later in the evening as well. So it should be a really good presentation. I don't see any concerns. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball, so we'll have to see how it goes. But then after it gets approved by the board, assuming it does, we have an invoice in hand ready in our department. So then we'll get that processed and get the check out to the sewer authority. And then we can stop talking about what we're going to do and actually start doing those things. So super excited to get this done.
Yeah. Moving forward. Thank you. Sounds good.
I think we got a question, Chair.
Brian has a question.
Brian, see your hand.
So Kelly, is this a check or just an ACH transfer?
It'll be a check. As far as I know, I don't think we've set it up for anything else.
So is there kind of a public relations thing like the last check that we received where?
Oh, you know,
we
I'm
might
not
be-
anticipating the big presentation check. It's possible that at the board meeting after the action, they'll direct us to do a presentation later on. When you get the big check, it's not actually usually an action. The action's already happened. That's just the
Sure.
let's take a picture. So it's possible that we want to come back and do the take a picture, but we'll leave that up to the board to decide.
So an ACH transfer would probably be a lot easier for all involved.
I will leave that to our finance department. I have no control over the money at Marion County, but I can write a
Okay.
contract.
That's it. That's good. Any other questions? All right. So how do we, there we go. Well, I was gonna, Brian Nicholas is not with us, is he? Nope, 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 nope. And I wanted him to discuss the RFP update, but we'll leave that for next time.
I can give a brief update. If
Okay.
that's, quite a few of the members are in the loop, but we are currently in review of the submittals that we received internally. So I anticipate the internal reviews were due last week. So I anticipate that we'll be moving forward with a selection this week, maybe early next week. So I should be able to announce pretty quick who the awardee was.
Just a second, Tony, I don't know if we, maybe let Marion County make that.
Well, the only thing I was gonna say was I was told that the deadline was tomorrow because I'm sending mine in tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
See, I'm
just
just
for
spitballing
clarification.
here.
Yeah, just for
I got
just
it
for
done last
clarification.
week, so I'm like, it must have been due last week.
Yeah, I got it late last week, and so I wanted to clarify because I've been traveling. So yeah, anyway.
Okay, I
But
think you're still
it's
golden
gonna,
then.
I think your other timeline is going to happen just as quickly as you mentioned. So yeah.
Thank you, Tony. All right, moving on, Marion County Commissioners Meeting, Marketing Video, Sarah Albanen, since she is in Canada. Do we want to show the video, Kelly?
Is there anyone that hasn't seen it?
I
Yeah,
have it up.
do you want to,
If you have it up, you want to go for it? Because I don't have it up and my internet must be a little slow.
all right, everybody, you're gonna see the video that Sarah Albanen put together.
This is really cool.
And enjoy it. Where's the volume?
Okay,
I don't know if you're going to be able to share it this way. I think you have to have a. I don't think that you can share sound from sharing a screen.
there is, here it is.
Can you?
Now let's try it again. Got it?
And there's the volume on the bottom left by the pause you can turn up.
The neighbors would give you the shirt off their back to help you.
They're involved with their schools, they're involved with their community, and it's a wonderful place nestled up in the mountain.
How could you not like it? It's a beautiful area.
Currently, they have septic systems that were, let's just say some are failing, some are on substandard lots, and they needed to look towards the future.
We had just done an economic study in the canyon. In that study, it showed what a sewer system could do for the canyon and for the economy of the canyon.
Growth to accommodate the growing tourism and things like that we have, the growing need for housing. Without the sewer systems, it's just not going to happen.
It's the only thing that's going to keep Main Street alive. We need to have a Main Street. We need to have restaurants, laundry mats. I mean, we need so many different things to keep all these beautiful houses and these people.
Neither Idana, Detroit, or Gates can afford to do this on their own.
Collaboration with 3 other towns was the only way that this was going to happen. It gave us a larger population group.
They began to to start realizing that, hey, they're all on the same page here. They want the best, not only for their community, but for the canyon itself. After a year and a half or so in, it was like, you know, this could actually work.
The fact that they're brand new systems alone, the cost is really high. And then you put in the lack of the economy. You don't have the economy of scale.
We're a very poor community, and so coming up with funding has always been a struggle, and it continues to be a struggle. We've been having a lot of help with Marion County and the state.
So if we can get the finances to build this thing and then just have the rates for operations and for future capital reinvestments, then they can afford to do that.
The whole reason for the 3-basin rule is to keep the water clean. I drink the water that comes down the North Santiam River every day. I live down in Salem. It's great water. It's pristine water.
Some of the best water you can find. So it's really a valuable resource to everybody through the canyon and beyond downstream.
The challenges that Detroit had before are still the same, and they will continue to be the same, but in some ways the fires were the catalyst to help change happen more quickly.
The fire, wiping out all those structures, really kind of put a renewed spirit into people to say, let's build back Canyon strong. We're Canyon strong. Let's come back better than ever.
There's a lot of people here who don't approve. They don't think we need it. They think that even though their septic systems were not compromised or they rebuild and don't need it, they're only looking at their perspective. And I think the healthy attitude is for all of us to look at the benefit of the good of the community.
You know, my septic is probably 20 years old and functions perfectly. However, knowing the importance of the sewer in Detroit, I would be the first one to sign up for a sewer system.
I had to think about the community in a long sense of thing. I think that's our responsibility as citizens of the community.
What can happen for the whole canyon is amazing with a sewer system, with ability to get industry and commercial districts and even more homes and more people and more variety of homes because of lot sizes and things like that. I'm really excited for the future and what a sewer system can bring to the 4 cities.
I hope that we're able to protect those resources, keep our small town feel, but still be able to accommodate future growth.
It's our future, you know, and without it, it's going to be a tough rebuild.
So yeah, it's time to get something moving forward.
Couldn't they do good?
Man, I first saw that, tears came to the eyes. It's been a long road. How's every discussion? Everybody like it?
Absolutely.
I think it's amazing. It's great.
I want to find that pine tree where that palm tree where Ken is.
That's on the island. 80 Island. Keith, what'd you think? You're muted.
That's on purpose. Yeah, look good.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mary?
I thought it looked very good. I thought you were very balanced with how you presented the three basin rule and septic system. So good job. Yeah, I'd be proud to show that at DEQ. Good job.
And I have Ann Carey here. She's one of our local citizens that's involved in a lot of fun stuff, and she liked it too.
Well, thank you, Ann. Jody Christensen.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. It was very emotional, which I think captures the spirit of your community. Ken, is that video on your website? I didn't see that. How can I share that with others?
I think it's on the web. Well, no, it's not on the website yet. We're going to agree and vote on it right now that we accept it. And so soon.
Fantastic.
On the website. And thank you.
Great. Thank you. Very, very well done.
That's Sarah. Everybody has to understand. I don't know how to. I know it's Sarah Albanen. She's with RARE and she's working with Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. McRae can introduce her. I know she can. But did I miss anything, McRae?
No, it's excellent. She has been a pleasure and really has brought so much just in, the 11 months. We're in our last month with her, the 11 months she's been in the canyon. And I think many of us have invited her back at any time that she wants to find herself in the valley or the canyon to work. She's an exceptional young woman.
Very.
Yeah.
Add one more to your list.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah. Yep. Exceptional.
If you go onto our website, Jody, that's Sarah. If you do the video, that's Sarah.
Yeah, you have a great website.
That's Sarah. When I was talking with the US Bank and getting things set up, I asked them to go on the website to verify different things, and they went on there and they were loving it. They said how easy it was to navigate that website, and I had to give Sarah credit, and Sarah deserves every bit of it. All right, any discussion on the video? Do we want to make a motion? Ron, do you have something you want to say about the video? You're mute.
Dang it. I said I'll make a motion that we accept the video.
I'll second.
Ron made the motion. Tony second. Any discussion? Moving forward with the vote.
Mr. Woodward.
I love it.
Mr. Kirsch.
Aye.
Mr. Gander. I saw the thumb.
Sorry, aye.
Mr. Nielsen.
Aye.
Mr. Carmichael.
Mr. Carmichael.
Mr. Carmichael.
I said aye.
Oh, sorry, didn't hear you.
Oh, you got the water running.
Huh?
Mr. Moronis.
Not me.
Aye.
And I am aye. Motion passes.
Awesome. And you put that on the agenda, Kelly, for the commissioners?
Yeah, it will be part of the PowerPoint presentation, so they'll get a chance to see it.
Did you bring any tissue paper?
I will say, I mean, like I said, I have no crystal ball, but I think it'll totally affect the tone of the meeting.
Oh.
It says a lot.
It affected me, and I know many others that I sent it to that have been participating in this project for a number of years had the same tears. It's awesome. All right. Moving on to the NSA Treasury Report, Brian Gander. He did show up for the meeting.
So basically our current cash balance is 717. Under that sits in the US bank account. The remainder is still in Mill City until that transfer takes place. I think we'll do that transfer once we get the money from Marion County. I think, Kelly, I will contact Marion County to see if they can do an ACH transfer, because that will make it easier for us to have to not get everyone together to sign the check, to deposit the check. So if we
Yeah,
can
it'd
get
be
it.
Krista in our office who we can reach out to and see how that might work.
What's her name?
Krista Ohm. She's the one
Krista Ohm.
listed on the contract, I believe.
Yes.
So OHLM?
That's ULM.
ULM. Okay. K with Krista with a K or C?
Yeah, it's here. I'll just put it in the chat.
Okay. I will, that would kind of expedite it getting through rather than it being mailed to Mill City and being held at Mill City till Ken could get up there and sign it, and Tim sign it and then deposit it, kind of thing.
And then just, if you're going to email her, I just put the email in the chat. If you'll email her, just put my email in the CC. So that way, if she goes, what the heck is this? I can tell.
Perfect.
And also put the North Santiam Sewer Gmail also.
Right. So, it shows that we paid $149.90 to Ken for his opening of the Zoom account. So that was the only debit on the account this month.
That was for the NSSA.
The NSSA Zoom account.
Yes.
So is that going to be an annual, Ken, or is there a monthly on that?
No, it's an annual.
Okay.
And
so next June is when we renew.
Yes.
Okay. So that's our balance sheet at this time. We're still working on the financial policies. Right now, I'm looking into bonding, how the board becomes bonded to protect itself against the decisions it makes to spend its money. And then I'll be getting, since we're in July now, I can start the audit for the fiscal year 2021. So those are the things on the treasurer's report at this point.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the treasury report? Has everybody read the report?
I have.
Do we have a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
Second.
Tony makes a motion to approve. Denny seconds. Discussion.
I did include in the report the flyer from US Bank, which is kind of the parameters of our bank account, the amount of transactions that we go through. At this point, do I need to ask permission to have checks made, or do I just request checks being made? Does the board need to approve checks being created for the account? We spoke about this at the last meeting, trying to use the system and have Janet and I write financial policies that will allow technology to be our friend, as opposed to using the old rudimentary fiscal check to pay invoices. So maybe, can the board approve the expenditure for an invoice and then we use PayPal to pay that invoice as a method of doing it? So the board minutes are the confirmation that the expenditure was approved by the board, and that then we just use PayPal as the expenditure protocol, as opposed to having to write a check and wait for Ken and Tim to link up to sign the check and then mail it off.
Denny?
US Bank has a remote banking platform that's really simple to use also. So you can just go in online, you can add a vendor, put in the name, the address, and write your check that way, and it's usually delivered within 7 days.
That's true, but they charge us considerably for that.
Really?
I think it's $25 a month on this account.
I don't get charged at all, so I don't know what the parameters are. That's interesting.
I think this is a business account, so I think it's a little bit different. I asked our representative about that, and I don't think we're going to be writing that many checks.
Certainly not for a while.
Yeah, so
I think we should have some paper checks on hand, but I agree with you. It's rare that we really use them. But there will be times where somebody needs a check rather than a transfer that I could probably foresee.
Yeah, I think there are going to be some times where we're just going to have to coordinate, a cup of coffee in Salem to get the check signed and stuff it in an envelope and send it across. And then, but hopefully we can make, and I think it's mostly going to be to legal in the initial months. Some to the COG for services rendered by the COG. So we have 125 transactions in a month on this business account without a charge. So we'll definitely stay within that low charge. But Denny, I'll continue to look into that protocol that they use, but I think she told me it was $25 a month to use it. So.
Certainly could be for a business. I didn't think about that. So.
Yeah.
Do we need the logo on the checks or not?
No.
That would be a cost. That would be a specialized cost. So yes. I would tend to avoid that.
Okay.
It just has the Mill City Hall address on it and says the North Santiam Sewer Authority.
That's simple.
Yeah.
And legal. Any discussions? Anything else?
I have a question about the comment in the report on on the work session consensus voting. I've been looking through public meeting laws and so forth, and I didn't see reference to what you put in there, Brian. So
board sessions are board sessions, and work sessions are not deliberative motion sessions. So the board cannot make a decision in a work session.
But you can make a consensus and take it back to the board to be voted on.
Right, but that process never happened.
That did.
Yeah. I don't see that.
This would be the meeting where that consensus vote would have been formalized in the board meeting.
That's what we're about to do.
And I did not, where in public meeting law is that reference? Because I went all the way through that, and that is, I did not find that reference. Is it there or is it an ORS?
So in public meeting law, the board is not to make a decision. It's merely a work session. A decision is not made. The board can leave a work session and open a regular session meeting if that is the way the agenda is presented, to the public. My point is this, is that as the treasurer, the obligation of funds is when the board is in a regular session to obligate funds. They cannot obligate funds in a work session. That was both not on the agenda, and a final vote in an action vote in a work session is contrary to public meeting law. Now, I voted for the consensus. I did. I said I agreed with it because we're all for one, or we're one for all, right? But let's do what is appropriate by Oregon public meeting law.
Okay, well, I was only asking because you referenced Oregon public meeting laws, there's not a specific reference in there, and I wanted to go back through and read that. So that's
Well, the
why I'm
reference
asking.
is, but you did read that a board cannot make a decision in public meetings, right? They cannot hold a formal vote on a decision.
You can take a consensus vote that goes back to the meeting. Yes, you
Right.
can do that.
And then in the public meeting, you can ratify it,
Mhm.
make it official.
Well,
Right.
I'm no expert on public meeting laws, but by all means, but I know that we have for Mill City City Council, one regular meeting and one what we call a work session. But we expend funds all the time in our work sessions because we do the consent agendas, which does the paychecks and things like that for the end of the month, as well as some other things. And we do get to make decisions on things. It's the executive session that we cannot make any kind of decision in, and we have to exit out of and go into regular session before we can make some sort of decision. So, but like I say, I'm no expert on it, but I know that we do these things and have been for many, many years, been able to expend funds or make some sort of decisions on things.
So we have 2 meetings a month too, but they're all regular meetings where we post our agenda and and everyone has access to the agenda, right? And it's basically a public meeting. It's a board meeting. It's not a work session. It's a special meeting. We call it a special meeting because it's not the regular monthly meeting that we agree to when we agree to the January calendar of meetings. But in a work session, if you specifically call it a work session, public meeting law says that you cannot make a final decision in a work session, which means we made a final decision. We actually obligated the funds because Mill City cut the check for Ken as he had requested, which is before the board agreed to the fund expenditure. So this is my point, that when I became a superintendent, my mentor said, navigating public meetings is a challenge. The best thing you can do is not shoot holes in your own boat. And mistakes like this are shooting holes in our own boat. It just gives somebody leverage. Will they use it? Probably not. But we shouldn't be shooting holes in our own boat.
It was for 140, for everybody to know, it was for 149.90. We were using 2 private citizens Zoom accounts. We don't need that. And that's why we made a decision, a consensus vote to get it done so we could start with the previous work session and this meeting on our own NSSA Zoom account. And that's why we did it. It was needed. And so.
But Ken, it was not an emergency. It didn't need to happen before today.
Right. And I have to say that my interpretation, I in working on some other levels is I agree with Brian that even though this was not a large amount, that I didn't know anything was approved. If I wasn't there, I can't make some of these work sessions because I work full time. But my understanding of a work session is that the board can come together without a quorum and can discuss things, but it has to come back to an actual meeting as tonight before things are passed. And that's, again, how I understand it.
Okay.
So I would recommend, if I can help at all, that we work we're working on the financial policies, and those financial policies will set some requirements for a level that either the chair and the vice chair, or the chair and the treasurer, however you decide, some sort of $500 or less, or whatever that is, decision point that they can make without having to come back to the board. So that's one recommendation. And then another recommendation I have is I do think that it would be useful, in addition to those financial policies, that we set up some rules and procedures for you as a board. So you can set what the requirements are for work sessions, that there will be no decision points made, what the requirements are for board sessions when those are held, what your policies are for executive sessions, those sorts of things. So we can set those requirements and everybody can agree to them. And that way we don't have to have these little decision points throughout the way, because in the end of the day, we're going to have bigger fish to fry than whether or not to set up a Zoom meeting. So we really probably need to get these little things nailed out so we don't have to talk about them further and we can deal with the bigger issues.
I agree.
I agree as well.
And I'm happy to help with either the financial policies, but I can also probably be really useful in helping with the board procedures. So.
I think we did discuss the $500 limit or $1,000 limit, but it's not on paper yet. And hopefully that will happen soon so we don't have to go through this again. Thank you.
I think we still have it on the table whether to accept the treasurer's report yet. We got off into the weeds there a bit. So I'm going to call for the question. Let's put it to the vote and accept that treasurer's report and move on.
Tony approved. Denny seconds. Let's call a vote.
Mr. Woodward.
Aye.
Mr. Kirsch.
Aye.
Mr. Gander.
Aye.
Mr. Nielsen.
Aye.
Mr. Carmichael.
Aye.
Mr. Maronis.
Aye.
And Janet is aye. Motion passes.
All right, moving on to Zoom. Oh boy, here we go again. And web page account. We already know about the Zoom. Now here it is about the web page. The web page is $274 annual. Comes up in November. No money has been given to that. It's in my name. Zoom is in my name. So November, we'll have to pay that account. Wix. I have the date someplace here. November something, November 21st, 22nd, 2022. So
How do you spell Wix, Ken?
WIX.
So is there an ability to put them into the sewer authority's account? Create the sewer authority as the account holder?
Well, that would be nice. Sarah was in Sarah's name, and it was in my name. It was in Shelley's name, then my name, then Sarah, Danielle's name, then Sarah's name. Now back to my name. That's the Wix account.
Who paid for the hosting initially?
I think I paid long ago. I think Danielle did. And it's just been transferred back and forth to different individuals. So November, here we go. That's going to be a start. So if we can get everything put in the NSSA, I would love it.
Okay. Well, maybe you and I can sit down and figure that out on a laptop sometime when we log into the account, and I can contact them. But basically it's like you did this one. It's a receivable element.
Yeah.
Right. So once there's always going to be a lag. You're going to have to pay it. And then once I get the receipt, the treasurer can forward the money to you.
Well,
You
if
get to
we,
sign your own check.
Well, no, if we get finances and get the financial policies all set up and everything else, we can handle it before November, the date.
Yeah, so you can put it on the November or the October board meeting that the bill is coming forward, the board can approve it. And once you get the receipt, you just forward that to me. And this is where a PayPal type of function would just allow the money to flow through to you.
We're working on it.
Well, the other element that's going to be helpful is that we should have our administrative support on board prior to any of that. And that individual is going to be tickling all of these things and should have and be steeped in public policy knowledge about what's right, wrong, or indifferent to help us so that we don't have to muddle through this time and time again.
That I think would be a very good point to have a budget defined, even in a rudimentary form, for the upcoming year, at least our known expenditures and then our anticipated expenditures. So when that individual comes online, they know, oh, this is my budget. Okay, this is what I'm working with. And
we're going to have to report to Marion County anyway, so we're going to have that in order.
Yeah.
on the Wix account, if we switch it to the NSSA, and we know that the bill's coming, well, as soon as we put it to the NSSA name, won't they send us a bill and then we can just pay it as the NSSA board instead of having to Ken pay it and then I pay Ken? That's what I'm saying. So if we have this set in place and then we know that it's going to be coming, so if we as a board have a consensus or a vote to pursue it, obviously, then we'll get the bill and the NSSA account can pay it directly.
They don't have a credit card.
That's the linchpin right there. They usually require that, someone take.
I see, the credit card. Uh-huh.
The magic card.
Yeah.
So we can call them, we can work it out. Maybe there's something different.
Well, when we have our checking account in place and with funds in it, surely we'll get some sort of a debit card or something in place, I would think.
Actually, this is where I think PayPal will be the avenue for that.
Right, and yeah, that could work well.
Yeah, once we get the PayPal associated with the bank account, we can
use PayPal as our
transfer Ken's credit card stuff into our bank account stuff, and then we can fund it that way.
You ain't getting my credit card number.
No.
I know. I see you, Ron. But Brian, go ahead, Ron.
So I've been dealing with this same thing for years, with different organizations and stuff like that. It's real simple with websites and stuff. I'm kind of in question with the Wix account. That's pretty high of a yearly cost for hosting service, because I only pay like $120 a year for my hosting service. But you can put it just in the Santiam Sewer Authority's name. That way it stays there. You can put other people as the administrator on the account to take care of the website and stuff like that. But it'll always be in the North Santiam Sewer Authority's name. That way you maintain control, and if anything happens, you can grab the website back and stuff. Because I've had experiences where the website was sabotaged and stolen from us and stuff, and we was able, because we kept it in the organization's name, to get it back. It took a little bit of work, but it was able to do that. So
don't take, I know it was, Sarah said it was 274 coming due in November. Whether if that's annual or semi-annual, I don't know. So I'll get it all figured out. But it had to get out of her name real fast, and I did it. I made another decision, but it was handled.
Well, it's a responsibility decision. I don't think that's really, there's only one decision you can make there.
So, all right, McRae, hello. This is IGA, CO, Council of Governments. How you doing, McRae? Mute, 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 mute. Unmute.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I don't have much to report. We have a draft contract at this point that we have run through COG. Essentially, we are waiting till Wednesday for it to get through that approval. But with that, who would be the appropriate person for me to send? I mean, do you want, is it legal? Who would review that part when if on Wednesday?
The contract?
Uh-huh.
The board?
Okay. So potentially where you'll see it will be next month.
Okay.
Assuming if we see approval on Wednesday from the Board of Commissioners, I will bring our IGA forward for the staffing.
Have you sent an invoice, or do we have an invoice from COG for joining our annual fee?
Oh, you will be receiving it. Like, we're just actually pushing all our invoices out.
Okay. And that,
But are we talking about you being members right now, or are we talking about, we could talk about both. Are we talking about NSSA being members of COG?
yes, one. That's
Okay, one, good. Okay, this is my first time hearing it, but I got it. I immediately.
I understand.
Yep. And then the next is our contract for services to be able to assist you all with staffing for all of the tasks that we've been talking about, you all have been talking about for the past 45 minutes and everything else to manage and help roll all this out.
Yeah, that's first we need an invoice, or should get an invoice. So I think that Brian said we do have the $500 to pay the invoice, so we can join. And then two is when you send out the contract, it goes to all board members to review it.
Okay.
And then at one of our meetings, we can make a decision. Can it be presented at a work session?
Yes, it definitely can. Are work sessions weekly, or I feel like I see a lot of, I feel like I've heard and seen a lot of them recently. So what is the
There's been a
schedule?
whole bunch. There's a bi-weekly Friday, 8:15 to 9:15. Later on the agenda here, we're going to determine when the next one is.
Okay. It can come to the next one.
Okay.
I mean, I have it. So I would love, what I would like to do is get it out. I know later in the agenda is also like your discussion of responsibilities for all the board members. And so who will be the administrative filter, if it's you, Ken, or someone else, like I will send it to you, and then you can, or whoever is the appropriate person, can share with everyone for review. It will be in editable format. If people, I would love your comments and suggestions and questions in that document. And then we can bring to the next board meeting for further discussion. And if an action is needed, so in August, right?
So you can send it to me, and then I can send it out to everybody.
Okay.
Our next.
Can I ask a question, since I haven't seen you all in a few months? With the staffing description that you all have been working on building, do you feel like that is finalized as a group, or is there still more that needs to happen with that?
What says the board? Any comments?
It was my understanding that I think we felt that it was pretty complete.
Yeah.
And a question I had along with that, McRae, is what's the best case scenario in terms of the commissioners approving the IGA and then the funding being available, that we could expect to have the individual hired and available to us for support?
Just thinking organically, logistically, right? So Wednesday, board approves. We are able to solidify a contract with the county and get that money and, you know, the legal requirements of the contract worked out. And then we receive approval. So I wouldn't, I mean, we can talk about it right now. I wouldn't want to go out to advertise the position, but I will tell you that at COG, we are already soliciting and unofficially, like, right, we are just brainstorming and thinking about how we're going to fill this position. So if in an awesome world, it'd be September, right? That we'd advertise potentially beginning of August for a couple, well, even realistically, it probably, as I'm saying it out loud, it probably would be October meeting that we would have someone here, but we could potentially hire someone in September and start training them and having them get up to speed and be prepared to meet you all and start, you know, program planning and goal setting and getting orders and directives from you all in October.
Thank you.
Yeah. You can hold me to it.
Get back on here. Brian.
So will we be at all integrated into the interviewing process with this
I think
individual?
you should be. I think what would be ideal, you all should just, you could discuss it now, or we can discuss, or what would be great is talk about it a little bit now, and then maybe we could potentially solidify something next month. I can bring forward some suggestions, but having like 2 members of the NSSA serving on our interview committee, I think at a minimum would be ideal. But what do you all want? Do you want more of a role? Would you want candidates to come before the NSSA? Do you want to review? Do you want to screen? You know, we're open and we will serve you how you deem, right? Like, I know there's an urgency, we're shifting. So there's an urgency to have that immediate role, but right, like we also want to have the right fit in the long term for years on who's going to be able to potentially come in, jump in immediately with like the administrative, but then like the long term of the grant administration and the finances. So,
well, that's
what are people's thoughts?
That's why we kind of all agreed on COG, because you know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're for us for a long time, so you know the right fit. I don't know if we need all board members. What is?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ken. I think maybe at least maybe that's the direction you're going, having just a representation, a couple of the board members that are willing to be part of the process. I feel like through the RFP process, that was, you know, helpful in the end when it's all going to be transparent.
Yeah. So we have 2 or 3.
Okay.
My feeling. Anybody else? Well, send it out.
Yeah.
Okay, who's running the water?
Not me.
I have a process question, Janet. So if COG is going to send an invoice, do they send it to you as the secretary, or do they send it to me as the treasurer?
I believe they will use the address, the Mill City address here.
Oh, you want it
I will-
physically, you don't want it just emailed?
Oh, yeah, email would be fine.
If
You
it's
could,
emailed, it should go to both of you. That's pretty simple.
yeah, both of us. That way I can get it out to where it needs to go and you have your copy of it to put in your records.
Right, so you have it in the public record, and then
Yeah.
I have it to bring to the board as a action item.
Yeah.
Everything needs to have the North Santiam Gmail on any emails. any emails that you send discussing anything needs the North Santiam sewer Gmail account on.
So use that and then put CC of us on it. So we have the three-way loop. It's going to the business email box, and then it's going into mine and Brian's. So we have a copy, and then it's in the record for the authority itself.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes.
Janet, I'm going to put my email in right now. Would you just give me all the email addresses that we'd like to have it go to, and I will ensure that.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have my, McRae, do you have my new email address?
I think so.
Yeah.
I got a few emails from you today.
Just a few?
Just a few. Did
Thanks for
others
bringing
get
that up,
more?
Brian.
No, appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Thank you. Good. We're gonna join, then she's gonna send out. Yes. Anything else from anybody? McRae, welcome aboard. Congratulations on your promotion. It'd be great to work with you.
Thanks. I'm glad to be back here and see all of you again.
All right.
Question?
Huh?
Question?
Yes.
So this is under action. Is there an action we're supposed to take here, or?
I put it under action because. Okay.
But there's not a vote or anything we need to do. I'm just asking.
Okay, no, we did approve a while back. Tell me if I'm wrong. Anybody tell me if I'm wrong. We were going to join COG. Did we approve that a while back?
Yes.
Yeah, that's done and dusted. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So all we have to do is get the invoice and pay the $500. Is that true? So
are we making a motion to pay that invoice when it gets to Brian, or what are we making, since it is under action, or is this, should have just been an update?
should have been an update, but it is an update, but I put it under action. I had all kinds of fun doing an update on this agenda.
All right. I think
We're
we
happy
already
to help
approved
you.
it, Janet, in the
Huh?
previous minutes. It should be in the previous
Yeah, it
minutes with
is.
Renata. So
It is.
You know, this was a lot of fun doing a last minute update, and we're going to be discussing that here momentarily. No action needed. Okay. Old business, financial policies and procedures. Do we need to set a timeline?
We already have our timeline, don't we, Brian?
Tomorrow?
Yeah, right. Maybe for me to buy Brian coffee and a donut so we can get to working on it again, but yeah.
right. Janet has said to me, we met at the park on the 4th of July. We had a little conversation. So she's been working on Danielle's iteration of looking at it, and I've been looking into the bonding element and how to integrate that into policies. And when we push them together, we should have a good first draft by our September meeting. And they're due, from what I understand, Kelly, the 21st of December, but we should have them done by then.
September.
The September meeting, yes. We should present what we would call it the second draft. We've already presented the first draft. Yeah. And Tony, have you seen those?
No, I don't know that I have.
I think you came on after. So Denny and Tony, I will send you copies of those so you can see where we started and where we're headed.
Can you send it out to everybody so we can all review it again?
Okay, I can do that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Banking transfer money. You've already said that you're going to wait, correct?
Yeah, I think in the previous meeting, we said we would wait until the money came in from the county, and then I would take the minutes to Stacy that says, please cut us a final check, and then I would deposit that in the US bank account as well.
Okay,
And that will relieve Stacy of having to do anything with our accounting.
anything else? New business, board member assignments. I just put that in there. We got to start. Denny, you said you're working on what? Talking points?
Yeah, I've discussed on a couple of occasions the issue that we all talked about at one of our work sessions, probably 2 months ago by now, developing sort of a white paper regarding all of the important issues that we should be sharing in the community, and sharing it in a way so that we're all speaking the same language, speaking with the same tongue, so that there's no opportunity for confusing people about what's important about our projects, what's happening in terms of the implementation and execution of the project, and other questions that Sarah and I will put together before she exits on the 25th or 6th. So when she gets back from Canada, we'll be getting together and then have something to share with you shortly thereafter.
Great, thank you. And the financial policy procedures, Janet and Brian.
Well, can I ask a question before we move on from that?
We're not, go ahead.
I'm just curious, so what are the different positions on the board? I feel like I might know, but maybe not. So we have the chair and the vice chair, the treasurer, the secretary, and then there's like communications lead, or what's the term?
Any communication.
PR and communications. Shelley Engel, apparently, who was my predecessor, had that responsibility. And I guess that came with the turf when, when I replaced her.
Janet.
What about the historian, since we've lost Jeff? Where will that be falling?
Good point.
I didn't understand that, Janet. What was that again?
Jeff Huey was our historian, so he had all of the previous historical stuff, information, history, the whole 9 yards, going back to when Ken was a young lad. So we're talking centuries ago.
Hey, don't get me. Hey.
Yay.
I got a whole book. That's a good point. Historian. Also, when we were meeting in person, pictures would be taken. When we even like addressing the county commissioners on Wednesday, there would be pictures taken. I don't know if they allow cameras in there. I'll find out. But good point, Janet. Thank you.
Yeah, in the rules that we're talking about, the rules of procedure, that would be something that we can lay out. Like, these are the different positions and this is what they do.
Yes.
Okay.
So historian is it, so that we, okay, here's what I got. Chair, vice chair, treasurer, secretary, PR, communications, and historian.
Yes. Let's think of something else.
Give Denny and I a little while. Denny's the one who reminded me of the historian. So keep going, Denny.
Yeah, if you guys think of others, holler. Like, it's all good.
And if any board member can think of something, bring it to our attention. We need all the help we can get. I'm shuffling between agendas, helping Janet with recordings in minutes, trying to get the website. Well, the website's already in order because of Sarah. She knows what she's doing. I do not, but just trying to keep track of everything. So if anybody can help out, feel free to raise your hand.
Ken, may I ask a question? You just mentioned Sarah again, and we've been going to have a Google whatever 101
Google Drive.
session that has been postponed because of attendance, but I would still like to do that. You know, with the city council, I've got a new email address platform, and with NSSA there's a different one, and then along with that there are tons of other connection points within that Google Drive with all of the information that has developed over time, as well as things that are being worked on. But I'd like to, I mean, even if it's just 2 or 3 of us that don't understand this very well, I would love to sit down with Sarah or a Sarah lookalike that has a clear understanding of how this works and can teach old brains how to utilize it.
Believe me, mine's been working overtime. Brian.
I would recommend visiting Sarah at her office in COG, where she's got her computers right there, and she can do it all for you. She's a very good teacher, one-on-one, and we've been working on a grant together for the city of Gates. And there's a few things about Google Docs that I knew, and she's taught me some things that I didn't know. It's pretty intuitive, but being right there with her in front of her machine and doing it, it's pretty good. So if you're in Salem, or passing through, she's pretty flexible, and she can in a half hour get you very comfortable with Google Docs. And there's a great bear claw place right on the corner opposite her office. So bear claw and a cup of coffee is a good way to start the day with Sarah. And she's a good teacher.
McCray had put in chat that maybe we should record it, and I agree. She has done a recording for YouTube and stuff like that, and I mean, everybody should attend, but if you can't, you can't. I understand.
Yeah, that would be extremely helpful. I mean, I know others have a schedule, but mine is just crazy. But in transit or in an airport, I can sit and I can watch an online tutorial or something while it's difficult for me to make it into down into Salem all the time.
Yeah. Go ahead, McRae.
Would it be more beneficial if we hosted something in the next couple weeks, and those who can attend just a general format of, our website, Google Drive, how everything is organized, how to access the main things you all access, or would it be better, and we record it, and you all can go back and revisit it, or would it be better for us to format something and have us record like a tutorial? What are people's thoughts? I don't know why it's been canceled previously.
Your first idea.
Okay. Yeah, I think we schedule it in the next, find out what Sarah's schedule's like, and then we'll set up.
Can we schedule this week? I could schedule us right now.
Holy moly. 11, 12. Okay. How long do you think it's going to take?
I think an hour. Brian said 30 minutes. I think an hour for a little bit of Q&A, especially if we're doing it.
Why not do it during the time we would normally have our bi-weekly session?
I was just looking at that, Denny, and that's the 15th.
Yeah. At what time?
8:15 in the morning.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
Do it at the county on the 3rd floor.
Sorry, I won't be able to host. We have a training going on in the room that day.
We'll just have it on the NSSA Zoom. Zoom.
We could host it at COG.
That doesn't work well, I don't think. I'd like to be there and watch her on her computer. And now, if you can do that on Zoom, I guess that would be fine.
Denny, we can host the meeting at COG on Friday.
Okay.
COG?
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Can you just send out the address and all that good stuff?
Yep.
Perfect.
It's across from the door, the jailhouse doors of the courthouse. No, it's across the street from the courthouse.
Brian might be disappointed not to get his bear claw though. I'm starting to see a pattern from
Yeah,
donuts and coffee and bear claws.
and visiting COG. Got
Great
it.
I'll bring
croissants
enough
too.
insulin for everyone.
What
Great
about,
croissants.
Hey,
The maple bars aren't bad.
hey, Tony, are you gonna be able to make it down there?
That's this Friday morning. Is that right?
Yes, 8:15.
I think I might be able to make that. I have a couple of afternoon meetings. I'll do my absolute best to be there in person. I'd love to put some faces, shake some hands at least, or fist bumps, whatever we're doing.
Okay, Mary, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I was gonna make a suggestion for another position. When you get the engineer on board, and I know Marion County's leading it, but to have somebody from this board available, just to get updates, questions, things like that. Because, there's gonna be a quick timeline to get the money out because of ARPA requirements. So just a suggestion, maybe a couple people, but then of course, if there's big decisions, then they bring it back to the full board, but just having somebody on point, if there is anybody on this board that has wastewater treatment experience, that would be good. If not, you're gonna learn a lot, process.
Wastewater treatment experience.
And it's not Keith.
I was looking at Mr. Kirsch.
You're hired.
Well, I have a little bit of experience working with engineers and some of the stuff they present about sewers, but I guess I would be happy to, I want to say, be a liaison between the board and the engineer. But I prefer to let the engineers explain everything to the full board. But yeah, I could probably be on point with contact with them.
And if you need a second person, I'd also, I would be more in the absorbing and helping bounce things off of, because yeah, you want to talk about forklifts and heavy equipment, I'm your guy, but I could toss my name in to assist in that area.
Well, and what I was thinking is when we have to meet with DEQ engineer, you know what I mean? I just want to make sure the board feels included.
Absolutely, very important, Mary. It's a good point.
It is. And put that down.
Yeah, okay.
DEQ engineer, NSSA representative. Yep.
Maybe like a title would be project liaison.
Mm-hmm. And maybe the new COG person you're hiring might have some of that duty as well. So I just, again, I don't know who it should be or if it'd be more than one person, but just something to think about.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So how many positions is that, Kelly? 1, 2.
That is an excellent question. Writing my notes on my phone and not, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So we got room for one more.
Well, wait a minute, if I have 2 of those positions, then for a couple more.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think she counted. Oh yeah, you did count the officer's position. Never mind.
Yep.
Okay, I got the chair, vice chair, treasurer, secretary, PR, historian, and project
Liaison
liaison.
for NSA engineers and DEQ. All right, we'll think of something. We will. Sarah is not here.
The PR would be the website as well. Correct?
No. No.
Content.
Content. I would think content.
Yeah, you could be the.
You need a younger, nimble mind to be doing that sort of thing, not an octogenarian.
Denny, you'll have a staffer who will be able to like actually put the materials on there. It's more about what it's saying and how it's presented.
Good
So the
point.
white paper you're doing.
Yeah, it's kind of like your white papers and,
Yeah.
and FAQs.
Well, have further discussion on it, Denny, later.
Just making clarification there.
Thank you, Ron. We know Denny's birthday is coming up. And he's
Yeah, tomorrow.
Woohoo, happy birthday.
Oh, Wednesday.
You're already forgetting?
Before we get done, Brian brought up a great point before many of you were on the screen related to some sort of recognition for Sarah.
Yes.
And I don't know what's appropriate. I don't know what's allowed. We don't have a lot of funding. I'm certainly willing to contribute to something. She has been such a stellar player in the short time that I've known her, and I have tremendous respect for what she's able to do. This is a young lady who's going to do very well wherever she lands. And I was glad to hear McCrae's indicate that your organization would be delighted to have her back in the Willamette Valley. We're going to miss her, and I just think we need to do something. And if it's only a gift card, somebody tell me how much, and away we go.
What kind of a gift card, like Google or something, or not Google, Amazon or
Yeah,
something?
well, no, I wouldn't do. You know what I like is cash cards. Then you don't make decisions for people. You let them do whatever they
Well, you
want.
know, McCrae just posted a great thing, and I appreciate that, McCrae, is that the project we're doing is to preserve the beauty of the canyon, right? So why not trying to put our heads together about a nice, beautiful piece of artwork, even whether it's small or not, that represents the beauty of the canyon. I mean, there's lots of ways you could go with that. Just an idea. Gift cards are simple, but piece of art can be forever.
I like that. We have a lot of artists up here.
Yes, a lot of good local artists, and I know I've had a couple pieces made, but a lot of you have lived in the canyon longer than me and might be better sources for that. But probably don't want to delay, but we could take that up offline maybe. Or
Are you like a cedar sign or something, or something like that? Is that is the kind of art you're talking about?
yeah, so something representative. There's a woodworker in Mahama that I've had done a few pieces for me, and he does absolutely great work. I could throw some ideas out there and spitball it and bring it back to the board to kind of look at and say, yeah, that's something we'd love to have on a little memento.
Is this the fellow behind the gingerbread house?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll gladly contribute money to that.
Me as well. McCrae, what do you think about that, McCrae?
I think that would be wonderful and very meaningful. And I have been also considering, like, how do we share something with this dynamic young person who that connects her to our space and reminds her of the great work that she brought here. So I think that is lovely and will be very well appreciated by her.
I would just probably need to know, he's a pretty busy guy, like timeline as far as, even if her position ends with us, is there a way we could still get it potentially after the fact to her? Something of that nature, but maybe we could communicate, maybe you already know.
I just offered she's staying in the region, so she will be available.
Okay.
Going to be working north of Hood River.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah.
So
I'd be happy to do that. Actually, I have some pieces to pick up from him, and I can throw some ideas out on some of the wood work that he's done from the fire or other types of local woods. And I don't know, but he's the artist. If I cast some ideas, he'll run with it.
And you have to include NSSA, RARE, and Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments on it, correct? Is anything else? I mean, and if anybody else wants to add something, that's fine.
Why do we want to put those on there?
I don't know. It was just an idea.
Okay, I'll be quiet then.
How about we put that on the back in appreciation from.
Yes.
Yes,
And let the front be representative. Yeah, I mean, it's an idea.
of the area. Yeah, great idea. I love that.
Can somebody tell me what RARE stands for? Thank you.
Resource Assistance for Rural Environments.
Say that again.
Resource Assistance for Rural Environments.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a suggestion too. If she already has a job, it doesn't probably matter, but a letter of recommendation of all the good work that if she can take that to other positions. So just, that's something the board could do to say thank you for all the good work she's done. So that would be.
What's
That's a great idea. That always is good to have in the portfolio for somebody that's going to be moving up in the world.
Thanks, Mary. I think Mary, wasn't she hired through Marion County?
No.
No.
I mean,
COG.
Money.
Oh, you know,
I got to interview her a year ago.
oh,
She's delightful. Renata and I interviewed.
hey, you write up a recommendation, we'll all sign it.
We would love to share. That's a great idea.
Yes. Awesome idea, Mary. Awesome. She's gonna go a long ways. Very talented. Oh boy, we're gonna miss her. Work is gonna be. No, McCray, yeah, I know you know, but she has done a lot. Okay, does anybody need the Marion County Commissioners Board meeting Zoom link information for Wednesday? If you cannot attend in person.
Well, it's not a Zoom, just FYI. So it's broadcast on YouTube, so you can watch it virtually on YouTube. And the link that was sent out via Sarah last Friday, I could send it again. But yeah, you can't participate virtually like that. If you want to come and participate, then you need to actually be there in person.
Where is it held?
It's at the bottom floor of the county courthouse square offices, 555 Court Street.
Bottom floor. Okay, guess what? July 15th bi-weekly administrative work session to be determined. I guess what's going to happen then? It's going to be hosted at what? Kelly?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wrote 8 a.m. and not 9 a.m. because I too fat fingered. Sorry. It is at 9 a.m. on Wednesday.
Be there at 8:45. Or watch it on YouTube.
Are you going to send the address for the location for COGS? I mean, I might be able to find a jail back in the day, but not as of recent.
You have your address, McCray?
101 High Street.
You're muted, McCray.
I think it's 101 High Street.
Thank you.
Address.
It's 100 High Street Southeast, Suite 200.
Take the elevator.
That is the only way up. Unless you have the key.
Yeah. All right, July 15th bi-weekly work session is going to be at COG. And it starts at 8:15. Is that okay, McCray? That's the usual time?
Yep. I scheduled it.
Okay.
Are you going to be Zooming this also, Mr. Woodward?
You were on mute, weren't you?
What? I'm just asking so I can put it here. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to attend, so I would really like.
I guess I can sign in on somebody's, but I don't have a laptop. I can sign in on Sarah's computer and we can, or somebody's.
Okay.
Or McCray, do you have a Zoom link that you can send out to everybody that can attend?
So has the meeting been on the NSSA Zoom?
Right here, right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll schedule it for our COG, and I'll send it to you right now, Ken, to share.
Okay.
Yep.
Just for those of us who can't even make it to that, so we have something
Yeah.
to look at with the recording.
Yeah,
You're right.
and then we'll record it, and we can determine through Google Drive where it will live. That people
Thank you.
can access.
That's I have to learn all that stuff. Okay. Next meeting topics, deadlines, September is for financial. You're going to send out the first part to everybody, right, Brian? Resend it to everybody. And then September, we'll have the second part to review. Anything for next meeting topics?
I have a question. Are we gonna do a work session the third week or not?
On the 18th?
Is it the 18th? No.
Yes.
Okay, you're right. That seems awful quick. Just asking.
Kelly, will we know something after this meeting or something that, what do you think?
I don't think there'll be enough to talk about by then. Maybe the COGS agreement for staffing would be the only thing. But that's, I don't know.
We can do that on the 29th. Or McCrae's going to send it out. Then our next bi-weekly is on the 29th.
Oh, okay.
McCrae will send out the app. Bi-weekly. Wow, we get a vacation. July 29th. Everybody good with that? Denny, you're gonna got your driveway open up by then?
Oh, yeah. It'll be ready Thursday.
Anything else?
The only thing I'd add is I think for the.
Ron has a question.
Yeah, just a minute. Tony was up saying something.
I was just gonna say, I think Denny has been talking to one of the potential candidates for the additional IDANA spot. And so he wanted to, his name's Mark, wants to talk to me a little bit more. His reservation is he just doesn't want to come on board and not be of value. And so I'm trying to kind of further that along to encourage him that there is value in just coming on and learning and helping to speak about it. So that's just a bit of an update that I'm still trying to fill that other position.
Does he have common sense?
He very much so. He's just a little, he's a little bit shy, and
welcome aboard. Tell him to come.
But I think he said he was talking to Denny quite a bit. So thank you.
Yeah, we've emailed back and forth a couple of times, and he seems like a solid individual who I think would add value to the organization. So
yeah,
I haven't heard from him for a few days. You know, he came back to me and asked for some further information regarding our work sessions and time commitments and that sort of thing. So
thank you. I'll circle back with him on that.
And
okay.
His name was Mark.
Mark Tracy. Yes.
Tracy.
And Kelly, you should be aware that I sent a note to a fellow by the name of James Day, I think, who was a representative with a local radio station who used to work with Danielle in terms of staying informed about county activities related to the project in, the Canyon project. And so since he had worked with Danielle, I gave him your email address just so that you're aware. I haven't heard back from him, but
Canyon Weekly.
Yeah, I think he reached out to me. I'm sorry, I was digging out a hole. I was out some last week. So I will get back to him though.
Okay.
It's Canyon Weekly.
So
All right, I have two things that I want to ask about. One, I want to let everybody know that on the 30th this month, I've been working on putting together this event for fire victims and all that other stuff. I'd like to invite the NSSA to participate in having somebody there just kind of as a liaison between the NSSA and the event. That would be a big plus, just to let people know who we are and stuff. And the other part is I'm still having a real hard time with our RFP deal. And I had to remove myself. I felt that I had a conflict of interest when I found out that there was only one engineer that had become eligible, and two had qualified, or there was two qualified engineering firms, but one of them was disqualified because of a late turn in or whatever it was and stuff. And I maybe it can be explained to me how that process works or something, so I can get my head wrapped around it and stuff, because I felt that we should have as many people involved into it as we could and hear what they have to say and give us the opportunity to either accept or deny whoever it is that shows up. Because we were working on a real tight timeline, Nick, and I know it takes a while to put together, numbers and all that stuff. So maybe Kelly can,
Well, I'd rather have Brian Nicholas address anything. I think if you want to contact Brian, he can explain it to you. Kelly might explain a little different than Brian. Brian's firsthand on it. And so contact Brian, and I'm sure he can fill you in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just feel like it, we don't get to speak about it here, and every time I bring it up, it kind of gets kicked to the side, and we don't want to talk about it and stuff, and that's kind of upsetting to me.
We're not doing that. We're making sure we have accurate information. And if you want to ask any of us, we don't have all of the information. Brian Nicholas does, and so please address him, because I'd hate to have you get anything that's not proper.
Well, I did ask him, and all I got was, we're not going to muddy the waters. So.
Well, that's all I can say in this meeting, is he's the one to go to.
Ron?
Yes.
Can you send out the information on your event on the 30th, the times, what we need to do, location and all of that, so I can work with Ken and make sure that we get somebody there, or we get shifts there to be represented?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, it's 6, I'll tell you right now, it's Santiam High School, 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock.
Okay.
I sent some stuff to McCray. I think she probably got that today and stuff. I can send you the rest of the stuff as well. I've got it all put together now.
That's
You
6.
rock.
Is that
Thank you.
6 in the morning till 9 o'clock?
No, 6 in the afternoon, in the evening.
You're almost at my bedtime. You're at my bedtime.
Sorry about that.
All right, anything else? Okay, not hearing anything.
Sorry, I'm a little slow.
Go ahead.
I don't know if Detroit, Denny, if you have an update on what the county is doing about the temporary septic for the business area that is happening in Detroit, what the county is working on with you there, and how that might relate to us.
Well, the only thing I know, and I've asked questions about that during this RFP process, is that whatever happens in Detroit will be related to 2 or 3 things. One will be permitting design, property purchases, as well as the temporary system once it's designed and the property is identified. So that's a $10 million component of the $50 million that's been funded for the Mill City Gates project. And we really won't know anything until the engineering firm is identified and engaged. And at that time, you know, working through all of the things I just mentioned is part of that design responsibility. So what we've been talking about in my position as the commercial rebuild counselor or commissioner is that we're really sort of stymied until we have a clear understanding about what can happen on a temporary basis for that area through Detroit. That and the fact we're also working on a visioning project to try and gain an understanding of what Detroit is going to look like in terms of a thing, you know, building standards and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of activity. The county has decided to once again graciously support our efforts in terms of bringing a consultant in that can help guide our process to evaluate what's best for the community, for the business district in the community, which of course is going to affect, you know, an awful lot of other things within the community at large. So I know that's vague, but until we have an engineer, you know, the design people engaged and working, we really don't know what to expect, other than we've identified the city park as a potential for the drain field. And that and even the 2 lots that the city owned where the old city hall burnt down are potential resources for additional capacity for that drain field. And we also know that from some initial studies, and I don't know when, but I'm thinking at least a couple of years ago, that whatever is designed up there will be designed so that the only thing we're going to lose in terms of sunk costs will be the pipe in the ground and the drain fields. Everything else will be developed so that once the system is in, we can simply cut away from the drain fields and engage the pipes that will go to wherever the permanent septic treatment plant will be.
So what role can NSSA play in supporting you guys in what's developing up there?
Well, it's a great question, Brian. I think the role is to not forget about us, is to make sure that the $10 million that we will have access to do the land purchases, permitting, design, and all of that is kept in the forefront of the designer's mind and others who have sway in terms of executing on our project. The biggest fear that I've had since I joined the city council in Detroit is that the most permanent solution in the world is a temporary solution. And that scares the hell out of me that we're doing this, but there's no other way. And if we wait 5 or 6 years to have a perfect system for the business district to hook up to, there won't be any business district in Detroit left, because nobody's going to permit a septic tank on that main street. The stuff that was there prior to the fire was marginal at best, and some of it was failing dramatically, especially during the winter months. McCray, you could probably speak to that. But it's we just need to make sure that we're remembered.
We will not be forgotten. Mary, just a minute, Denny. Mary, she had her hand up for a while.
All right, sorry, I just don't know when to put it up, so you guys know I want to say something. I don't want to interrupt your conversation. Anyway, when you get the engineer on board, DEQ and the engineer will, basically look for options, and then, do some analysis of the soils to see how they will work. But what would help, Denny, is for you to think about the flows, like how many businesses, what type of businesses make a difference into how much we have to treat and how big a drain field you need. So we know you're going to have advanced treatment before it comes to the drain field. That's cool. That's not a problem. But again, getting a handle on how many businesses you think will need this system, so that if Detroit could work on that and talk to the businesses, how many do they have kitchens? Do they have showers? You know, are we talking about the lodge? Whatever. That way, then that'll help the engineer and DEQ make sure we're sizing it correctly.
I really appreciate your thoughts, Mary. We just completed a survey of the community regarding our visioning project. And of course, most of it was dedicated to what should Detroit stand for in terms of a community, and then what are the services that people felt strongly about. And of course, bars and restaurants were at the top of the list, and secondly were laundromats. Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. And beyond that, farmers markets and opportunities in the park for a small amphitheater, and it just goes on and on. But the point is, we know how many business lots there are now. We don't know what that means in terms of how many businesses there will be. A lot of that, and if you talk to Elaine DeGeorge, who's one of the people that owns a motel, the Lodge there in Detroit, you know, it's going to be determined by what's available for financing, because the people who lost their businesses are now living on their insurance money, and who knows if it takes 3 years, and I hope it takes less than that for the temporary system. I don't know who's going to be left. I think the answers will be helped in terms of understanding with our consultant activity, who can lead us through a thoughtful process to come to some decisions about that with better information than a bunch of volunteers who are really excited. And we had 285 requests from Sarah's survey that she put together, and it was just remarkably well done as everything she's touched. But the coolest part about it was she had a QR code on one of the pamphlets that we printed out, and that thing was used over and over and over again, and that's what really gave us the depth of response in that survey. So we've got some great information to share with our consultant. To begin with, we've also found out that we have a pretty good master list of emails, because we want to, not only do we want to continue to get information from our community, but we want to be communicating with our community constantly to let them know what's happening almost on a weekly basis. It's better to overwhelm them with information than to be too discreet about it, I think. So it's been a fun project, but film at 11. I don't know when 11 is.
Well, I appreciate you updating us on that, because I'm always a little bit lost on where that 10 million is going and how can we help you guys. We talk a lot about Project A, and Ken does a good job of keeping Project B on our minds, but I think our agendas should give time to both projects for an update that helps us, like you say, with the white paper conversation. Somebody stops and asks us what's going on. I'm kind of clueless about the temporary structure in Detroit, so that helps. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brian. I really appreciate that question.
And hand in hand with that is that our community in Idana is kind of feels like really nothing's going to happen for Idana. And I've met with the city council and encouraged them that yes, it's part of that extra 10 million, not extra, that $10 million, as Brian has told me, would be part of that next step of that Project B. And they were actually very encouraged by that. And I told them, I said, obviously that's down the road a little bit further than some of the immediate needs in the business community of Detroit, but continuing that communication point as I think that this group is doing, and the commitment. I've expressed all of your guys' concerns and communication, because just as you said, a lot of the feeling was, well, nobody talks to us, and after this gets built down the canyon, we'll just be up here and nobody will care about us. I'm like, nope, that's not the case. So yeah, we're continuing to over communicate and steer people that direction. But thanks for your concern again. Yeah, Brian.
And Mary,
So-
let me ask you a question, Mary. The only site that's there in Detroit is the park for a drain field. Not knowing what businesses would rebuild, or if any, what would that park, the drain, okay, let's say you had a drawing of a drain field. What can that take care of? What can that handle? Can we work backwards from that?
Yeah, we have to do this in Blue River as well. So first we're gonna confirm that the site is doable. And then you have to have so many linear feet plus replacement drain fields. So we'll figure that out. And then we'll say, okay, this is the amount of flows that we can properly treat. And so you may have to limit, like maybe you can only have one bar and one eatery because you're gonna have the lodge, right? You know, so things like that. And again, we know it's temporary to encourage people to come back, but maybe not the full build out. So that's what we have to do for the Blue River. We're going to do it that way. And this, maybe that's how we have to do this for Detroit. If we only have one good site, confirm that and then say, okay, how much space do we have? And then say, okay, this is what you generally can have for flows. So then you will then just have like an agreement or covenant that says, you know, this is what we got. And so if somebody comes in with something else, they're going to have an individual drain fill. If it's over your flow account, how much we can.
There are also, the last time I was involved in feasibility study and all that other good stuff, I believe we were trying to think of something for an RV dump. I believe there's a 5,000 gallon tank buried up there. I don't know.
Well,
maybe they dug it up when they tore up the park. I don't know, but it's if you have a drain field and it treats it real well and it dumps into a 5,000 gallon tank and you can pump it out, can you have a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's what your engineer and DEQ will work on. And then if you're above 2,500 gallons, DEQ permits it, which obviously is what we're talking about. If you're below that, then Marion County will permit that. So, but we should have a conversation at another meeting where we can go into some of these, or just separate with Detroit, do whatever you want.
Okay. I didn't keep it in back of your head.
So I've got a question here. So it was presented to us, Chris Epley presented to us that he's asking for $3 million out of that $10 million to be broken up into grants for people who are trying to repair their systems, and not just in Detroit and Idana, but also in the other areas as well and stuff. So I kind of wondered how Detroit and Idana would feel about that. I mean, because I know you guys are going to be running on real slim. I would like to see you have a whole lot more money, but.
Well, DEQ has 15 million. They're going to put out.
Yep, that's out right now, and I'm pretty sure the COG or Marion County is going to apply for some of that money. And again, it's more focused towards low income people, but it will still help. And if people repaired back to March 2021, we can pay them. So we'll have to wait and see. That closes the end of the month.
I think that's what Chris Epley's talking about is the.
Oh, so you're talking, he's talking about that money coming out of the $15 million, not the $10 million then that's designated. No, McRae has something on that, so let's hear. Okay. Want to hear what McRae has to say.
Hi, everybody. So there are 3 potential funding sources that hopefully by the end of August, I will know everything about. But what they look like is right now there's Craft 3 has $2 million available, starting for anyone in throughout Oregon, who is doing construction on their septic that were impacted by fires. So you can apply for that. There are income levels to it. So there are different levels of resources. Marion County, so there's the $50 million allocated by the legislature. There's $40 million to Mill City and Gates. There's $10 million to Detroit and Indiana. $3 million right now is being discussed to be allocated to residential permits, retroactive to March 2021 for anyone that has had. They haven't determined the upper limit of how much that grant will be available, but the focus is, I believe, they're still waiting for the IGA from Business Oregon, but the upper limit might be like 12 available to North Fork, Idana, and Detroit. COG is applying for the DEQ grant, which has a maximum of $2 million. We are applying for that grant that closes August 5th, with the first goal, the 694 septics that were damaged throughout the canyon. So it will not be only exclusive to Detroit and Idana, Gates, Mill City, Marion, the North Fork, but Marion, not Lynn County. So that number shrinks. We're talking more like 450 for the canyon will be eligible for that $2 million. There will be some income, I don't want to say restrictions. We are intending to do it grant based, that we will have more funding available based on income, but it will be available to everyone with a maximum cap out amount that when you reach what it costs you to either hook back up, the work that you had to have done to certify that your septic tank works. I'm sorry to giggle. 5 years ago, if you told me I would know this much about all of this, I would have.
Welcome to my.
Anyways, and then beyond that, people who have paid specifically, we are looking a lot at Detroit because our lot sizes are so small. We have so many lots that are below the minimum lot size. So you are restricted in Detroit with septic. So that increases the cost. And so, so I told you 5 million that, no, not even 5. 3 is allocated Marion County of that 10 million. Then there's dollars. I don't know what the exact is, but I am in conversation with Chris and others about that. The interim temporary solution for our downtown, and then another amount or slice of that 10 million is going to go to the engineering study for the long-term solution.
Land acquisition,
and the perk, right?
Yeah.
We were talking a year ago. I saw you. We were talking about perk tests in Idana. So I hope I offered some information that's a little bit more helpful, and any of you are welcome to ask questions.
So then the 3 million was out of the 10 million then.
Right. And that's what I'm hearing that was different than what we were told by Brian in previous meetings, that 10 million, and obviously things are always fluid, right? But
yeah,
when we communicate to our communities from these meetings, that makes it, I don't know, it makes it kind of challenging. And people that are already skeptical in these smaller communities, that now when I just communicated to the board that there was going to be 10 million used for certain purposes for Detroit Idana, now it's really $7 million that's going to be used, and then the 3 million or maybe even less than that.
Probably 5 million. I think the engineering is going to cost 2 million.
Yeah. All the parts of the engineering study that were part of the master plan approval last September are implemented through that 10 million, right? Like, how do we get a permanent facility for Idana, Detroit, are allocated there? And then beyond that, how do we find interim solutions for both Detroit and Idana? So if there are opportunities in IDANA that need to be raised, let myself or invite the county to come out and hear about them at city council for IDANA.
Yeah, and I think that's the master plan is actually great, but 95% of the people in our community are not ever going to open the cover of that. And I think that's where what Denny was working on, maybe along those lines, with having some of these touch points that we can talk about that are a little bit broader, so that we're not, pigeonholing ourselves into anything, but also gives the community something to kind of look forward to and understand in a quick fashion, right? Before everybody gets all excited. So,
well said, Tony. And this 3 million out of the 10 million is news to me, because we've had several discussions with Brian about this, and we've never heard that 3 million was going to be allocated for residential septic. It was all supposed to be dedicated, as I understood it, to the rebuilding of the business district septic system. So and I asked Brian in one of our last work sessions to identify the components that would consume the $10 million so that we could have an understanding. And I still haven't seen any material related to that request, but I think it's important, because if that's true, Tony's dead on. We have 7 million, and Ron as well, not 10. And I think that is woefully short of what it's going to take to put together a temporary system for the business district. Because then you go back to what Mary said, well, you determine what your flow requirements are for the businesses that you identify, and then you back into it and says, well, you can have one restaurant and bar, one grocery store, a farmer's market twice a month, and basically what you're saying, you're going to restrict the rebuild process, which will kill that city.
Well, let's wait until we find out the engineer, because 10 million was set aside for Detroit and IDANA. Around 2 million was going to for the engineering study. The 8 million was supposed to go land acquisition, get things in order, get things in place, a temporary deal. And nothing was talked about helping out anybody else. That was going to come from DEQ. That was going to come other ways. So let's don't run away with all this. Let's wait until we find out who the engineer is. Let's find out what Brian has to say. Maybe we can get him there on the 29th. He'll have everything in order. The 15th, we're going to do our Google Drive navigation, and let's don't spread no rumors.
Ken, it's a great discussion. Obviously we don't have facts available to all of us, or at least the same facts. There's discrepancies, so we'll figure it out. And I don't think there's anybody on this board that's going to run around and create issues by being divisive in terms of explaining what we've just discussed. That's for us here. It's like, what you say here and what you do here shall remain here when you leave here.
That's right. I mean, I appreciate it.
This is a public meeting. So.
From the Elks Club.
I also, I've been through, a lot of us been through many, many years and heard many, many different things, and you always got to wait. And we will hold their feet to the fire. Detroit will not be forgotten. IDANA will not be forgotten. I can guarantee that myself. If they want to run me out of town, well, that's what they're going to have to do to keep me quiet.
Well, I think the point that Denny's making is how does he put together a white paper when he doesn't have all the particulars? And I really think, and I wrote it in the chat, is that this fall we should have a meeting in the new Detroit Community Center where we invite the IDANA people and we meet with them there. And then we have another one in October in Mill City or Gates at one of the city halls. And and update folks. They're gonna hear that we just received $150,000. And so we should be ready with some bullet points to say, and this is how we're going to use it. This is what the expectations are. Because I can only do so much of that in my city council meeting.
Very true.
And typically I'm speaking to the 5 other city council people that are sitting there. There might be 2 or 3 others, the city recorder, but so, you know, it's gonna come out that we've got this money, and then they're gonna say, well, are they going to Puerto Vallarta and having tacos or what? What are they doing? And so I think we should be proactive and get out into the communities and let them know, hey, we're still here. We haven't forgot you, Idana and Detroit. This is what's going on. And this is, so we need to have some public meetings with the public invited, I guess is what I'm saying.
Tony can send out the dates for the council meetings for Idana. We can send out the ones for Detroit. We have to wait for the engineer. We have to wait for all that. Please hold on until we find out who the engineer is, hear from Brian Nicholas, and we can discuss a little bit on the 15th. And if we have something on the 29th, we will have something on 29th now. We will invite Brian and we will discuss it and go from there. But let's hear from Brian, the engineer, and go from there.
I do think by the 29th, we'll have a really good idea who our contractor will be and what the costing will be. And then hopefully be able to take that scope that they submitted and have better numbers. So
yes,
I think it's all in a little bit of flux right now.
Yes, and that's where we are, and that's why all these thoughts and ideas.
Why don't we just say it the way it is? Keller's the contractor. We already know that. They're the only ones that's responded.
Well, because we're not going to do that. We don't do that. We wait for Brian to announce it, and that's the way it's just been done.
Well, I mean, that's the truth.
Well,
we don't know that that's the truth. There's a process that the county uses, and we will follow the county's process and not preempt them.
Okay, did anybody want to make a wager?
We're gonna let Brian know. You'd be surprised.
Let's remember we are in public meeting, guys.
Yes, so it's 8:08. We need to end this meeting. So is there any, well, no, I'm not gonna ask if there's anything else because we can keep going all night long. It's 8 o'clock, it's 8:08. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Let's call it quits and look forward to everybody being on at the 15th at COG. Thank you, McRae, for hosting it. We'll see you then. Everybody, the meeting's adjourned.
Good night, y'all. Thank you.
Can I get a hold of you tomorrow, McRae? Okay, I'll get a hold of you.
Okay.
And if you stop the recording and stay on, I'll talk you through saving it.
Okay.